Hello, preschoolers and kindergartners. We've been enjoying some wonderful weather, some beautiful sunshine, and a few thunderstorms this week. Have you guys ever been outside in a thunderstorm before? Do you want to hear a story about when I was in a thunderstorm? When I was 9 years old, I was at my aunt and uncle's house, and they had a boat, and the boat was on the Atlantic Ocean. And they took us for a ride on the boat in the ocean. And the day was wonderful. We swam, we had lunch on the boat, and it came time to go. And as we were on this boat, my uncle got a worried look on his face. Have you ever seen an adult or a parent with a worried look on their face? And my uncle said, "There's a storm coming in, and it looks like it's going to be really bad." So he told me and my cousins to get inside the boat where it was safe. And just as we got inside, the thunder started. It was so loud, and there was lightning in the sky, and it was smacking the waves. And all of a sudden, this wind started rushing, and the boat started rocking, and it got really, really scary. Thankfully, my uncle rowed that boat as fast as it could go and got us home before the storm got really bad. But it was really scary, and I still remember it to this day. Well, today's story has to do with a storm. And today's story reminds us that Jesus is God. When Jesus was here on earth, he was showing people over and over that he was God in many different ways. He showed them he was God by healing people. He showed them he was God by performing incredible miracles. So pay attention today about how Jesus showed that he is God by only using his voice. Well, Jesus had been teaching many people for a long time, and it was evening and everyone was tired. And so Jesus said to his disciples, his 12 friends, "Let's get in a boat and take it to the other side of the lake." So the disciples get in the boat, Jesus gets in the boat, and they start rowing to the other side of the lake. They start rowing the boat across the lake when something happens. What do you guys think happened? Well, a great big storm blew in. Lightning started flashing in the sky. Thunder started erupting. And very soon a big wind blew in and made giant waves start crashing over the boat. It was a horrible storm. And these waves started crashing over the boat, and the lightning was going, and the thunder was going, and the waves were crashing and crashing and crashing. And the boat was filling with water. It must have been so terrifying. They were sinking. And the disciples look around for Jesus. Do you know where Jesus was? He was asleep. He was asleep. Who could be sleeping during a storm like this? Well, the disciples see Jesus sleeping. They shake him awake and they say, "Jesus, we're going to drown. There's a storm." Do you know what Jesus did? He stood up and he said to the waves and to the thunderstorm, "Stop. Be still." Who has the power to make a storm stop with their words? God. What was Jesus telling the disciples in that moment? That he was God. Do you know what the disciples did when Jesus stopped the storm? They worshiped him because they knew that Jesus was God. This story teaches us that Jesus was God, had so much power that he could stop a storm with his voice. Jesus wasn't afraid during that storm because he was God. And so just like the disciples worshiped God, we can worship God too. We can worship God with our words. We can worship God with our prayers. We can worship God with beautiful art we make, with beautiful dancing. All of these things tell God that we are thankful, that we know that God is so incredible and powerful, and that God is in control of everything. God is in control of the rain that falls, the sun that shines. God's in control of coronavirus. God's in control of things that make us sad and worried. And these are all things that we can give to God and say, you are in control, and we worship you and praise you. So I encourage you to talk with the people who are watching this video with you about a time when they were afraid, like the disciples, and they had to pray to God, and that they realized that God is in control and that God is worthy of worship. I love you all so much, and I'll see you next week for our Big God story.